Hello, welcome to In the English Corner. Today I would like to talk about the importance of using a variety of sentences in your writing. And there are four types of sentences that we're going to focus on today. They are called simple, compound, complex, and compound complex. Now it's very important in your writing that you try to vary the length of your sentences because this will add effectiveness to your writing. And if you just write in simple sentences, it makes your style more juvenile. It also can make your writing very choppy in its style. And as well, if you write in different sentences, you can express more complicated thoughts and more complicated ideas. But be careful, however, that if you are going to write in longer sentences, that they don't become too long and confusing, and that you do write them so that they are grammatically correct. So looking at the first type of sentence that I want to analyze today, it's called the simple sentence. And a simple sentence just has a single subject-verb combination. Let's take a look at sample simple sentences. The first one, the boy washed his new car. In this sentence, you've got the subject boy and you've got the verb washed. One idea. So it's just a subject-verb combination, a singular one. The second one, the movie is playing at the movie theater. The subject is movie. The verb is playing. Is the helper verb. Playing is the main verb at the movie theater. Simple sentence. C, the boy and his friend are washing the new car. Now, although there are two subjects in the sentence and one verb, it is still a simple sentence because it's just expressing one idea. And in the last one, number D, the boy washed and polished his car, this one has one subject and two verbs, but again, it's just referring to one idea, and therefore it is a simple sentence. So please note that the simple sentence can have more than one subject, and it can also have more than one verb, but it only expresses one idea or one thought. Let's take a look at a few more examples together to analyze them and see why these are simple sentences. The first one, Sue and Jane are going to the museum. In this sentence, you've got the subject Sue, Jane, and there's your verb, are going. One thought, they're just going to the museum. The second one, the thunder and lightning kept my daughter up all night. Two subjects, one verb, but it's one thought. And the third one is a simple sentence, the plumber and the electrician were working at my home. Plumber, electrician are subjects, word working is the verb, it's only one thought, although there are two subjects, it's a simple sentence. Now if you're uncertain how to pick out subjects and verbs, it is important to know how to do that for future lessons as well. Please refer to my videos on subjects and on verbs as well. So the second type of sentence that we're going to look at is called the compound sentence. Now a compound sentence consists of two or more simple sentences, but they must be complete as well, and you put them together. As well, the two ideas have to be closely related. So you would use a compound sentence when you want both complete ideas to have equal weight, which is also known as coordination. So both parts of the sentence are equally important and you want to join them together, and that would make it a compound sentence. Example, Lee wants pizza for dinner. It's a simple sentence. Sean prefers tacos. So they're both simple sentences. So in order to turn them into a compound sentence, here's what you would do. You can use a comma and a joining word to combine these two simple sentences, and you'd form a compound sentence. And what you do is you put the comma after the first thought, then you put the joining word, and there's your compound sentence. So let's look. Lee wants pizza for dinner, comma, and then your next thought, but Sean prefers tacos. So you've joined them using a coordinating word. This is a list of coordinating words, which you should familiarize yourself with. And, but, for, so, yet, or, and nor are all called joining words, and you use them to join two simple sentences. Let's look at some other examples. He went to the store and he bought a suit. In this example, he went to the store is one simple sentence. He bought a suit is another simple. So they're each simple sentences. And you want to join them using coordination. You put the comma and then the joining word. The comma always goes before the joining word. And now you've got a compound sentence because you've joined two simple thoughts. The second one, she wants to join us, but she has too much homework. There's one complete thought, she wants to join us. Another simple sentence is she has too much homework. You're going to join them with the comma and the coordinating word, and now you've got a compound sentence. The last one, Jim passed the math test, yet he failed the history test. You've got Jim passed the math test is one simple thought. He failed the history test. Again, it can stand alone, a simple thought, but you want to join them, so you put the comma and the joining word yet. Otherwise, if you said he went to the store, period, and then you say he bought a suit, period, it doesn't sound, it doesn't flow as well. It sounds a lot more simplistic in your writing. So join your ideas, and it adds a little bit of depth to your writing. Here's the third type of sentence. It's called a complex sentence. A complex sentence is very different than a compound sentence, and here's why. The complex sentence includes one independent thought and at least one dependent thought which cannot stand alone. So in a complex sentence, one idea has more weight than the other. So in the compound sentence, they're equal because they're both complete thoughts and they're of equal weight. In the complex sentence, one idea is more heavily weighted, it's more important than the other. And let's look at this example. Because I was late for work, I missed the staff meeting. In this sentence, you want to emphasize the fact that you missed the staff meeting. That's what the important thought is. And this one is complete. It can stand by itself. It's complete or it's independent, which means it can stand alone. This one, because I was late for work, this cannot stand alone. It's dependent. Sorry, that's a D. Dependent on this thought to complete it. So in this sense, because I was late for work, what happened? You don't know what happened as a result of the person being late for work. So when you start or a sentence with one of these dependent words such as because, it's not going to be complete. Now you might say because I was late for work has a subject and it has a verb, and any sentence that has a subject and a verb is complete. Normally that's true. I is the subject and was is the verb. But as soon as it starts with a dependent word like because or since he was late, it's no longer complete and you have to join it to another thought. So here is a list of subordinating words or dependent words that cannot stand alone, and then you have to have another thought to complete them. After, although, as, because, before, even if, even though, if, since, though, unless, until, when, whenever, where, wherever, whether, and while. So keep these subordinating words handy. And try to remember them, and they're clues so that you know that if you start with one of those ideas that it will be an incomplete thought. Notice that when one of these dependent words begins a sentence, the idea then cannot stand alone. Although I came late to work, I did not lose pay. You're starting with the dependent word although, which is here. So what happened? Although you came late to work, it can't stand by itself. Well, this is what happened. You still did not lose pay. So this thought is dependent. It can stand by itself, but this one can't. That makes it a complex sentence. The second one, before I could finish my coffee, the waitress removed my mug from the table. There's your dependent clause right there, because you're starting with the word before, which is here in the list. It's a dependent word. You can't leave it on its own. So you can't say before I could finish my coffee, period. You have to join it to this complete thought, the waitress removed my mug from the table. And that's why it's a complex sentence. Now the last thing to review is how do you know how to punctuate a complex sentence? Well, here's the trick. When the dependent statement comes first, it's followed by a comma. Let's look. When he is on his way to work, he always stops to buy coffee. You started with the dependent word. That's the dependent clause. You have to put the comma at the end of the clause. When he's on his way to work, comma, he always stops to buy a coffee. However, take a look at this rule. When the dependent idea comes last, that means the dependent word is in the middle of the sentence. You do not use any punctuation. You're not going to put a comma before the dependent word. Is in this example, he always stops to buy a coffee when he is late for work. There's your dependent word in the middle of the sentence. When he's late for work, no comma. Louise took a shower after her baseball game was over. because the word after is in the middle of the sentence, the dependent clause is right here, and here's your dependent clause. You do not use any punctuation within the sentence. Okay, and the last type of sentence is called the compound complex sentence, and that's exactly what the term is. It's a mixture, a combination of both a compound and a complex sentence. So it's going to have two complete thoughts, two independent thoughts, just like the compound sentence, and it will also contain one dependent idea, which makes it the complex sentence. So a lot of rules. Let's look at a specific example, and we'll analyze the example so you'll see why this is a compound complex sentence. Because he was late for work, he missed the staff meeting, and he missed the deadline for his report. Okay, let's analyze the sentence. He missed the staff meeting, and he missed the deadline for his report. These are two independent ideas. They could stand alone. He missed the staff meeting. He missed the deadline for his report. So this is the compound part of your sentence. Two complete thoughts, and take a look. You would join them with the joining word and you always have to put a comma before a joining word. The first part of the sentence, because he was late for work, there is your dependent word, because. So you know, because it started with the word because, it can't stand alone. Because he was late for work, and so you have to put your comma right there at the end of the clause because you started with a dependent word. And let's take a look at two final examples of compound complex sentences. Since I love animals so much, I own 2 dogs, and I work at an animal shelter twice a week. All right, you started with the word since. Since is a dependent word. It's one of those words in the list that start dependent clauses. So since I love animals so much is dependent, so there's your complex part. You started with the word since, the dependent word, so you've got to have a comma. And here are your two complete thoughts, which make it compound. I own 2 dogs, and I work at an animal shelter twice a week. There's your joining word and you put the comma before. That's coordination, that's subordination. The second example, the dress at the dress shop was beautiful, but I could not buy it since it was out of my budget. There's one simple sentence, the dress at the dress shop was beautiful. Another simple sentence is, I could not buy it. You join the two sentences, and you're going to turn this now into a compound sentence. How? By using the comma and the joining word. So the dress at the dress shop was beautiful, comma, but I could not buy it, and there's your dependent, since it was out of my budget, with no punctuation because the dependent word's in the middle of the sentence. So, I hope this clarifies the different types of sentences, and I urge you to try to write in a variety of sentences. Definitely avoid writing just in simple sentences, but be careful that if they're too long, that you do use the correct punctuation and use a variety. It does add depth to your writing, and it makes your writing more enjoyable to read. Thank you very much, and I hope you've benefited from this video, and I look forward to seeing you again. Bye-bye.